Comcast Business is celebrating Small Business Month by giving you a $1,000 small business bonus. Just imagine the thousands of possibilities of a $1,000 prepaid card, swag for staff, new equipment powered by gig speeds, or a 3D printer. Rapid prototyping, anyone? Switch to Comcast Business for over 99.99% network reliability, advanced cybersecurity, and now get started with the $1,000 small business bonus. Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
Want your boss to put some real action behind the rhetoric when they talk about making your workplace more inclusive? Find out how to hold their feet to the fire and demand diversity on the Diversity Dude podcast.
Well, hello there, and welcome back to the Diversity Dude podcast. I'm your host, Lambert Fisher, marriage and family therapist, award-winning author, and national speaker on the topic of multicultural awareness and diversity. And for those of you who are interested in even more positive and encouraging tips and strategies beyond what I share in podcasts like this, then feel free to check out my award-winning book, Diversity in Clinical Practice, nationally recognized for the unique way in which it addresses the often difficult topic of multicultural awareness and diversity. Designed for more than just therapists, if you're a helping professional in any way, Diversity in Clinical Practice can help you meet the greatest variety of cultural needs possible for those whom you serve. And it's available in paper and audiobook versions for your convenience. And if you haven't heard it yet, I invite you to visit TED.com and check out my talk called What to Do When You Offend Someone, where I offer a positive and practical perspective on how to navigate unintentional offenses in daily life. To date, it's been viewed over 500,000 times. Check it out for yourself, and if you're encouraged by it as well, share it with a friend. And whether it be through my one-on-one relationship building efforts as a therapist or my informing and empowering efforts as an author or speaker, know that my personal mission is to do my part to improve the world one strengthened relationship at a time. So, today I want to share with you an encouraging perspective on the importance of Black media. So, more and more each day, we're seeing the ongoing impact of efforts by political leaders to eliminate any media platform that is deemed inconvenient to those in power. This can seem to be in an effort to dismantle or defund things like National Museum of African American History, as well as efforts to defund NPR, the National Public Radio Network, or PBS, the Public Broadcasting Service, which has provided educational and other quality programming for years, all under the excuse that they are biased in their reporting and their portrayals. And while avoiding biased and skewed perspectives is a reasonable goal to strive for, a closer look suggests that it is not a transition from a skewed or biased portrayal of reality to an unbiased portrayal that's being desired. Instead, it looks like a discomfort with the general public being given a balanced view, which includes both the good and the bad, when it is the bad about them that some wish to keep hidden, and the good that they want to be magnified so you can't see the bad. And why would someone want this? Well, for many, it's because if you can't see the bad, then they can go on and pretend like it doesn't exist. Avoid feeling guilty about it, or feeling the guilt of or responsibility to do anything to change it. But what about those who don't have the luxury to avoid seeing or thinking about it because their reality is impacted by it in some way? For anyone in that category, which covers a lot of people, it's beneficial to be informed in a balanced way, given information that they need so that they can be equipped in their decision-making efforts so they'll know what they can do individually as well as what they can do collectively. One asset in that endeavor, one way to get and stay informed in ways that can fill the gaps left open by mainstream media efforts to only report partial perspectives is Black media. Now, of course, there are many methods of culturally targeted media, and hopefully in other podcasts, more can be explored. And in many ways, while I will focus on Black media today, many of the same principles also apply to other targeted groups as well. But if you're not familiar, Black media includes Black newspapers, magazines, websites, podcasts, and more. And while this may seem to many to be an excellent complement to come alongside of mainstream media, many have misconceptions about its purpose or benefits. For example, I've actually heard people express, why do they need to have their own newspapers and magazines? Aren't the regular newspapers and magazines good enough for them? Don't they think, or do they think they can actually do better than the bigger magazines and the newspapers? Why do they have to be so exclusive about it? It's unnecessary. After all, why fix? Why try to fix what isn't broken? Interestingly enough, it's misconceptions like this that can perpetuate the ongoing need for additional media sources because, to address just a few of those points, the existence of Black media is not motivated by a desire to exclude themselves from the mainstream media. However, when efforts to include themselves in the stories being shared and the writers of those stories were not welcome, then instead of accepting the exclusion, they created their own spaces to be included, what we know as Black media. And while mainstream media may not have felt broken to those whose needs it met, it did not meet everyone's needs. So, to assist in any further conversations you may have with someone on this topic who might share some of these misconceptions, let me share a few considerations you may benefit from sharing with them regarding the importance of Black media. Consideration number one: Black media provides representation for stories that need to be told. While mainstream media is great and in many ways, and it seeks to meet the needs of many by telling stories of inspiration as well as stories of struggle, it's also true that there's often an imbalance in whose stories get told. For when the writers and editors of mainstream media brainstorm the stories their audience needs or wants to hear or read about, it is understandable that they would be inspired to write what they know and relate to more. However, this does not necessarily reflect the needs of all of their readers. And if they don't make intentional efforts to broaden their perspective and learn more about the needs and experiences of those outside of their personal experience and comfort zone, then many stories will remain untold. Similarly, there are also times when the stories that are told about experiences outside of which they're personally familiar, those stories unfortunately reflect a skewed misrepresentation of reality, influenced either by ignorance, unconscious bias, or both. Whether the emphasis is on the lack of representation or a skewed representation, dedicated Black media formats are uniquely positioned to help readers everywhere of all cultural backgrounds learn not only about the untold stories and experiences of African Americans in this country, but also on how many broader national or even global topics impact those in the African American community. When written and edited by people within that community, the experiential truth that is shared is more likely to be accurate, an accurate reflection of reality, and less likely to be a skewed or biased representation of their experiences and feelings. Instead of just being grateful to be a footnote in mainstream priorities, Black media can bring a level of importance and value to every story, especially representing the underrepresented stories previously unshared. And then there's consideration number two: Black media provides historical representation as well. It is commonly said, whether it be in war or just an evolution of a society, that history is written by the victors. Well, whether or not you feel like life is a battle or a struggle, media has the power to narrate or tell the story of present day reality that will one day be history. Because of this, it's important that mainstream media not be the only ones telling the stories that shape our perceptions of reality today. One way we know this is by the sheer abundance of historical revelations being uncovered every day by people who weren't content with one recounting of history by the victors, and who dug further to find additional sources of news and truth and uncovered contrasting truths that were just as credible, just not as widespread in their popularity. This is why it's not the size of the Black newspaper or the team of their writers that matters, but rather the uniqueness of the stories they tell, the experiences they put a spotlight on, and the impact they can have on their readers that really matters. Which leads to consideration number three: Black media has the potential to be a significant agent of change. When we know our history, we can build upon it. When our history is deleted or skewed, it can have a devastatingly hindering impact moving forward. Not only that, but Black media has the potential to spread the stories of current experiences so that people can be informed about successes, struggles, as well as needs outside of their own. Such that by being informed, we can not only experience the affirmation, validation, and collective strength of knowing that we're not alone in our experiences and feelings, but we can also be better equipped to work together to meet a greater variety of needs as a broader community. If we all stay in individual silos, focused on our own experiences and our own needs, and only hear mainstream media portrayals of what those needs are that don't apply to us, or skewed perspectives, or contributing to internal conflict and confusion about who we are, then growth can be hindered unnecessarily. However, Black media has the opportunity to spread a healthy perspective about not only how you're not alone in your struggle, but that there are already efforts to meet your needs as well as the needs of others in the form of things like service projects in the community, small businesses you can support, or social justice efforts you can join to make an even bigger impact. Whether or not you're helping others, or just being informed. Not even always about the problems to solve, but inspirational stories and sources of encouragement. Black media has the opportunity to meet a need not currently sufficiently met by mainstream media, and that cannot be understated. With all this in mind, my hope for you is that you would be, at the very least, gaining a greater appreciation for the role of Black media in a broader news landscape. It's not just about whose name is on the cover or the stature of its writers or the awards a mainstream source did or did not consider it worthy to receive. Instead, appreciate Black media for the role it can play in increasing your awareness of experiences not sufficiently represented in mainstream media. Then, if you feel so inspired, find a way to support Black media, whether it be through story ideas and literary contributions, financial support in recognition of the lack of comparable sponsorship support received by mainstream media, or simply by becoming part of their readership and sharing its messages with those around you. In this way, you can take one small step toward increasing your overall cultural awareness by being informed of a greater variety of experiences and helping do your part to meet a greater variety of needs in whatever way you have the opportunity to do so. And with that, I'll say thanks again for listening to today's Diversity Dude podcast. If you have any pressing diversity-related questions that you'd like me to address on an upcoming podcast, or if your organization is in need of a shame-free and empowering guest speaker or training on this often sensitive topic, then feel free to reach out to me directly at www.diversitymadesimple.com. And if you know of anyone else who can benefit from a positive and encouraging perspective on this often difficult topic of diversity, feel free to send them a link to this podcast so they can be encouraged as well, or share with them my award-winning book, Diversity in Clinical Practice, available at Amazon.com. And don't forget to visit TED.com and check out my talk on what to do when you offend someone. I hope it inspires you and that you will share it with someone else so they can be inspired as well. And as usual, I look forward to addressing as many topics as possible in future podcasts so you can help improve as many relationships as possible at work, at home, and in your community. And as always, remember this: you don't need to know everything about everyone in order to have a positive impact on someone. Thank you all for tuning in, and have a great day.
Tune in each week and find out how to demand and implement diversity at your job. To hear more, check out previous Diversity Dude shows on ShelettaMakesMeLaugh.com.
You know Sheletta makes you laugh, but did you know Sheletta Brundidge can also make you think and boost your business? Media personality, activist, and comedian Sheletta Brundidge founded Sheletta Makes Me Laugh to celebrate and share the best of Black culture. It's a podcasting platform. You can download 10 weekly podcasts hosted by African-American subject experts at ShelettaMakesMeLaugh.com or wherever you find your favorite podcasts. ShelettaMakesMeLaugh.com is also a production house, creating broadcast-quality commercial content. And Sheletta and her team of storytellers create powerful promotional campaigns to get businesses the brand awareness they're looking for. Some of Minnesota's top businesses trust Sheletta, and you can too. Get out the word about your events and products and get in front of communities of color with ShelettaMakesMeLaugh.com. She's got the power to help your business.
When I was introduced to Brimmer, I really appreciated it. It was more of a relationship. The support that we have in project-based lending, it's emboldening us to go after larger projects. That is a game changer for a small business. The resources and the support from Brimmer Bank is exciting that I could stay with them forever. Sometimes when you're working with bankers, they relish the fact of saying no. With Brimmer, it's like they're finding a way to say yes. When I was introduced to Brimmer, I really appreciated it. It was more of a relationship. The support that we have in project-based lending, it's emboldening us to go after larger projects. That is a game changer for a small business. The resources and the support from Brimmer Bank is exciting that I could stay with them forever. Sometimes when you're working with bankers, they relish the fact of saying no. With Brimmer, it's like they're finding a way to say yes.